Hi, welcome to this program of excelling in your exams. Now, this is for you who is studying. Why would you need to excel in your exams? One, there is no any other form of motivation when you are a student, which you are going to get apart from excelling in your exams. Because when you excel in your exams, then you know that you're actually on the right track. Then you'll enjoy school. Then you will know you are handling what other people call the hindrance to academic world. And when they are recruiting people in different organizations and companies, they consider how best you perform or your performance. So to say, that means your university grade will matter. I actually advise you, if you are yet to join university, focus and get determined to achieve a first class or diploma kind of grading. It is let it be the best. And or if the worst comes to the worst, then go with the second class alpha. Without that, then you might get issues here and there when it comes to employment. And finally, why you need to excel in your exams, because whoever is sponsoring your academics, let's say your parent or maybe which is coming in for you, or those good Samaritans, whenever they see your performance and you are scoring good grades, then they're also highly motivated to keep supporting you in that kind of academic life. So you have no choice but to perform excellently in your exams. Now, you need to understand that these are the common reasons why students fail. One, not reading enough. Based on our African culture, and I believe that we are running away from such kind of a culture because we are not so mentored to read a lot. And now I appreciate the fact that at least parents are doing their level best to make sure that children are being mentored to read. So if you are struggling with the reading culture, please, I urge you that it's the right time for you to start paying attention to how many hours or minutes you are reading a day. And that does not only mean you're going to read the academic content, but also other things which might be necessary and useful for you in your society as you grow or as you live. So students normally fail because they are not well prepared, so to say, for the exam. And then two, so many of them fail because they misfire the question or question misinterpretation. I've been marking for papers at university for 2 years, and I know that someone can write for you content and they feel, yeah, they did the paper. And you start reading the content, you're like, really? The guy has misfired everything being written. So you need to pay attention before you attempt a paper or before you ask a question. Make sure you internalize, read it critically, understand it, summarize. Make sure you are very certain of what you're going to write in that kind of exam. And then three, malpractice or malpractice conduct or behaviors which might lead you to be terminated in the examination room. One time I was supervising a paper at university and I realized someone has a phone in their pocket. And I was like, hey, why would you be having a phone right now? And yet, you know, even the examination instructions, you are not allowed to have a phone. You are not allowed to have any kind of it. I don't know how they sneaked in the phone, but then good enough, I confiscated the phone. Now, to some lecturers or some people, they can easily disqualify you for such a malpractice. So you watch out. And then four is little content. And this is what I mean with the little content. So there are questions whereby they have like 15 marks or 20. When you write points which are less than 5 or 6 or 10 and there are 20 marks, how would you expect someone to mark and give you 20 out of 20 or 18 out of 20 when you have only points? So you have to be in position to calculate and know the content you're writing. Is it viable? Is it enough? Actually, writing a lot of content always helps. And just think about it, subconsciously, If someone presented to you a question or a paper, when student A has written 15 points on one number, and student B has written 6 points or 7 points on the same number, would you give them the same mark? The answer is no, you can't. Now there you go. That's a nugget for you. And fifth is the panic and pressure. Because of panic and pressure, all of the above can happen. And in the previous video, we understood or we appreciated on how we can handle effectively deal with such kind of academic phobia which might arise. And then lastly, wrong personal details. When you enter into an exam, the first thing you have to pay attention to, my friend, make sure you're writing your personal details correctly. I've seen so many people writing wrong registration numbers, writing other friends' registration numbers, and like, oh man, I just misfired. I don't know what was happening. So make sure you write your initials correctly. Right. Then these are the 4 constants which you have to pay attention for in order to achieve performing excellent in an exam. 1, maintain the ethical codes of conduct. So have the ethics. And let me just give you an example. Always do your own self-check. What I mean there is before you go in for an examination, make sure you're checking yourself to know you don't have any notes around with you, you don't have no gadget, you don't have any papers or summaries. Make sure you are clean in terms of conduct, in terms of the ethics you should observe when you're in the examination before you enter. So when you enter there, also make sure you keep the ethics. Stop disrupting your friends and asking for answers. The paper might be too tough and you need to consult. Yeah, I know. But then, realistically speaking, that's not ethical. Stay away from distractions like that. And then 3, stop copying. Copying is a bad conduct, which you should stay away from. Okay, read instructions. This is my personal story about reading instructions. Doing papers, and I was used to doing 2 numbers. They were tests. So I was doing 2 numbers for like for 2 papers. Then when I entered for the 3rd paper, I just assumed that they were also required to do 2 numbers. And the instructions had changed. That time round, we were supposed to do 3 questions. I gave the lecturer a marking guide of the 2 questions, and I forgot, and I left out 1 number. Why? Because I didn't read the instructions. I assume that happens so many times. What I urge to you before you start writing a paper, when you get the question paper, look through the instructions. Know what you need to pay attention. It always helps. And keep time. Time management is very, very key for you to excel. Remember, there are 4 numbers and you have 3 hours or you have 2 hours and 30 minutes. So how you manage every minute matters. The speed you use to write matters. So you have to keep time. Okay, and then lastly, you have to be open-minded. Because sometimes I see students when I'm supervising exams, you give them the paper, then they are all frustrated just because the topics they've revised, they are not there, just because they are not so comfortable with the wording of the questions. Really, you shouldn't be messed up just because the topic you know so much has not come. Rather, what you should focus on your mind is how best can you apply maybe that knowledge and write it to the new questions which have come in that same paper. So instead of getting frustrated and all that, have an open, positive attitude towards that kind of exam. So these are strategies you need to apply for you to excel in an exam. I love this IBEC model. 1 is having an introduction. So how can you write an excellent essay? A strategy number 1. 1, you need to put into consideration that any excellent essay needs to have, or it's a must that it has an introduction. And what entails introductions? 1 will define the key terms or the key concept involved in the question. 2, you give the background of the subject matter. And then 3, you link that kind of introduction to the body. Let me just give you an example. So let's say you have a question where you're writing about poverty, let's say in sub-Saharan region. Your essay should start defining sub-Saharan region as a region which lies below the north region of Africa, and it entails around 42 countries of Africa. And this Saharan region, you have to give details. It has the East African region, South African region, Central Republic region, West Africa region, and maybe you have to mention some of the countries in that kind of region. Then define poverty, and maybe you can say, borrowing the definition and explanation from the World Bank and let's say the agencies, poverty is defined as people or a household living under the means of $1 a day. Now you're capturing the lecturer's mind as like, the guy is well read. That means in your introductions, you have to put there some statistics which might interest someone who is going to mark your paper. And you have to link that to the body. So you can say below the fundamental causes of poverty in the sub-Saharan region. Or you can find some captivating, nice, interesting words to use. And then B, the body. When it comes to the body, when you're writing an excellent essay, one, you have to make sure that your points are very visible. For students is, before you start writing, before you start another point, jump 3 lines or 2 lines in your booklet, then make sure you outline the point. Let's say political instabilities, or let's say poor planning, or let's say cultural beliefs. Make sure it is on its line. And then you have to go the line below, then you start giving an explanation too. How you should explain about it, should you have detailed explanations, not you just setting the point and running away, not you just summarizing and running away. No, give detailed explanations. And then 3, use citations and examples. Whenever you use a citation and example, that's an added advantage to you. And then you have to make sure you write as many points as possible. That's key. And another key concept about you writing an excellent essay is having a conclusion. And the conclusion normally tells the overview of an essay. You make sure you summarize the overview, then you have to also attach your personal voice of views or any aspect of the subject matter. So this personal views you can start by saying, in my own observation as a scholar